Language Fellow at the Atlantic Council. Welcome, Ms. Gina Winstanley. So let me first start by asking you, there is a military escalation that was seen by Iran through especially the last days and hours. And amid U.S. statements that Trump is ready now to stop the war against Iran without maybe opening the Strait of Hormuz. How do you understand or how these statements can be understood?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Well, it is a continuation of the president giving himself maximum flexibility. From the beginning of the war, he has done this. He's announced that the war has been won several times during the last month, as well as continuing to escalate, whether it's strikes, which we've heard the Secretary of Defense say daily that this is going to be the largest range of strikes today and tomorrow. Again, it's the largest range of strikes. And of course, continuing to send U.S. forces to the region. This gives maximum flexibility for setting up an off ramp. As we've heard him say, there's been regime change. We've uh, knocked out 90% of their military capability. We have decimated their navy. They are begging us for a deal. So, all of these things suggest that there is indeed going to be an off ramp, and the president has set up credibility for announcing that he has achieved the goals that he set out at the beginning. On the other hand, because there is concern about leaving uranium dust, as the president calls it, within Iran, leaving Iran as a wounded bear, that there is a push not only from those who are hawks within the United States, but from our allies in the region to ensure that Iran is truly crippled so that it cannot threaten the world's economies again. And so this is maximum flexibility.
The White House is talking now about the fact that there are now current and ongoing negotiations with the rest of the regime, those who are moderate, those who are maybe more flexible, according to the White House. Why now there are no accurate information when it comes to the personalities that the U.S. is now talking to, and especially when it comes to those who are being negotiated now with, especially the Iranians that can actually also be, they cannot be dissociated now from the regime in Iran.
That is a very important point. And of course, the president himself has expressed frustration over his interlocutors in Iran. Confusion as to who's left, quite frankly. We have heard both the Secretary of Defense and the Israelis brag about the deep level of leadership that has been eliminated in Iran. So, not only the supreme leader, but at least one or two layers down, people who might have been most effective to negotiate with, those who are considered pragmatists, like Ali Laranjani, are gone. And so the challenge is who's left, who has the power to negotiate, and what control do they have? What communications do they have? As Iranian leaders are concerned about the U.S. and Israeli intelligence, identifying them, perhaps tracking their phone calls, communication among Iranians to really determine what can be conceded, what could be offered, what must be demanded, is extremely difficult and in a confused state.
Amid the negotiations that are ongoing now, and especially also the military escalation in Iran, Trump is now threatening that there should be a ground operation. Do you think if this step was to happen, basically, Ms. Gina, and if Trump sent more than 17,000 U.S. soldiers and facing more than 100 or hundreds of IRGC, according to estimates. To what extent do you think that this will affect Trump's political path, especially when it comes to the elections in the US, and
Mhm.
especially also when it comes to his support for the Republicans and their position in the US?
This is one of the most difficult choices the president has before him. While a ground operation of varying sorts, we've heard Harg Island, we've heard commandos going into Tehran or to some of the nuclear sites being discussed. There is no doubt that either of those operations, any ground operation, could lead to substantial casualties. This will be extremely costly for the president and for his party. What has been consistent from the beginning of the war is not the goals that the administration has laid out, is not the status of either the outreach to Iranian leaders or the status of talks or negotiations, even among the mediators. What has been consistent is that the American people do not support this war. If casualties rise because of an invasion of Iran, we can absolutely depend on a political hit for the president immediately and for the party in the upcoming elections, unless there is a huge turnaround and casualties are kept to the bare minimum.
Thank you so much from Washington, Ms. Gina Winstanley, Distinguished Fellow at the Atlantic Council. Thank you so much, Ms.